This week on the Fantasy Beer Name Podcast.
We've got serious beer chat, which we could be accused of not doing much of.
I mean, I'm dead against that, obviously. Don't take your kids to tap rooms.
The top 5 tips for how to get spiders out of your MacBook.
When I was young, I used to think that Christmas was in August in Australia.
That's fucking it. I'm done.
Oh, it's like a beer bukkake. Sorry, mate.
I'm praying for like another dead nan or something.
Yeah, I mean, I've had 6 now.
Is this why you changed your name?
Don't mention it.
When you actually come to do it, you're like, gonna have to touch a dick.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Fantasy Beer Name Podcast, episode 5. I'm Christian.
I'm Paul.
And this podcast is sponsored by our friends at Mosaic Board Printers, Europe's leading beer map producer. So, hello, Paul.
Hello, Chris.
It feels like it's been a while since we've done this.
It does. Yeah, I'm trying to remember the last one we did, the last podcast we did. We'd been really busy filming. Podcast-wise, I think the last one we did was probably...
It was in the Hot Vault.
Yeah, it was
3 weeks ago, maybe. Called Billboard Foreigner.
Billboard Foreigner.
Yeah, great name.
We're struggling to remember a lot of the detail because it was the second one we filmed that evening and we drank quite a lot of beer. The first one was fine. Second one, we started hitting the big stuff.
It turns out that drinking them in a bottle shop when you put yourself on a tab suddenly starts to, kind of adds up.
I thought it was really sensible to end on a 15.1% stout as well. I think that really gave it the punch it needed at the end as we drifted off into semi-consciousness.
Yeah.
So I don't think we even finished with what we usually finish with on a podcast, which is, hey, this fantasy beer name.
No, yeah.
Which brewery would be good to have this?
That was flagged up to me. Yeah. So like I had a couple of friends say, you didn't do which brewery. I was like, oh, that's a good point, actually. Yeah. Didn't realise that until I was editing it, and I thought, well, it's too late now.
Fail.
Not going back in.
Yeah, never mind.
But I think, just to draw a line under that one, Billboard Foreigner to me sounded very overtone.
Yeah, agreed.
And I'd say, why not just make that one a...
I had, by them the other day, I think it was a Berliner Weiss.
Nice.
Foreign style.
Not often you get a,
I think it was. Or it might have been a Goza. I don't know.
Whatever it was, that works.
Yeah, that'll do.
Sorted.
Success. Let's move on.
We've solved episode 4.
Life can continue.
Lovely.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, so before we move on to the beer name of this evening, what are we currently supping? What's this?
We are supping, Chris. Well, I've nearly finished mine, but we've started on... an unbarred session pale, which is, oh god, my eyes are terrible. A Zeka and Equinox hops, 4.8%. And if you're watching this on video, you'll probably see that we've got a couple of unbarreds in front of us here because
that's
they were
on a couple. Well, that's a couple of couples.
There's a couple of couples, and we've got even more stashed away in the cupboards. But they've sent us a bunch of freebies. I love when that happens.
Yeah, thanks Brett and the guys at Unbarred.
Thanks, Unbarred.
Basically, that's not because we're whoring ourselves out or anything, but we will be going down. I suppose this seems as good a time as any, given that this is probably going out the first weekend of November. Mm-hmm. The last weekend of November, we're going to be going down to Brighton.
Yes.
To do a Stoutzilla drink along with the guys.
Stoutzilla, one of the best stouts of the year.
So very excited about that.
Yeah.
So I suppose we'll put a little call out before this podcast gets a bit too... before it cracks up the runtime and people start dropping off and not listening to it anymore.
That happens.
Let's put a call out for any questions that you want posed to Unbarred.
Yeah, absolutely. If you want to ask them anything... hit us up, man.
Let us know on the socials or whatever.
I'm sure we'll post out there. Look, I'm thirsty. Mm-hmm. I'm going to move on to the second of the unbarred freebies, which is Juicy, which is one of their cores.
Fantastic. Where was that?
Hazy Pale Ale with Amarillo and Simcoe hops, 5.1%.
Where was that during our core pale ale taste along?
I couldn't get any.
Yeah, that'd have been
really
good.
Struggled with the core pale. Hang on a minute. Hang on.
A bit of that ASMR. Luke is absolutely...
I just splashed Luke's microphone with beer. Sorry, Luke.
Luke's like, fuck.
Oh, it's like a beer bukkake. Sorry, mate.
Wow. beer khaki.
I'll pour this. While I'm pouring this, we nearly didn't get any videos out at all recently, did we, Chris? Because you had a bit of a technical nightmare.
Yes, yeah. I mean, what I will say is we've recently set a kind of self-imposed ultimatum where we're trying to get a video out, content out once a week, and I'd say we're doing a very good job on that so far. I think it's probably now nearly 3 months that we've been putting a video out weekly. It's absolutely draining on my own person, but hey,
you do all the hard work. I'll just turn
It's literally, I finish one, upload it, and then straight back onto the next one. So, but no, it's all fine because I love it. But no, recently it was very, very precarious as to whether I would get the one done because, and I shit you not, there was a spider in my MacBook.
Yeah, living in your MacBook?
It was, well, I've got no reason to believe it's not living in my MacBook. I haven't seen it in a while. Basically, I was there editing away at the desk and then just, getting really stuck in. And then out of nowhere, this kind of, I'd say, inch squared spider. Pretty big, but one of those that moves.
I got. You just said inch squared spider, and then you just did this with your hand, which is probably 1.5 feet.
Isn't an inch that big?
Yeah. Keep telling yourself that.
Starts running across. It's one of them that like it literally runs really quick, and I was like,
Where did it come from? Out your Mac?
The fans, the vents.
Holy shit!
Yeah. So, but I didn't realise it at the time. I thought it might have just dropped from the ceiling. Yeah. So I was like, whoa, what the fuck? So I'm terrified of spiders, so I went, and my wife was in the next room painting, but it's not unusual for me to just randomly scream or make noises when in the middle of doing something, and she just said, yeah,
what?
Don't think too hard about that. And she was like, are you all right? And I was like, and I was literally freaking out. My palms started going all sweaty and it was just running around. It went up onto the corner of the screen and I'm like, shit, there's a spider. I was frozen, I didn't know what to do. I should have just grabbed something next to me and like knocked it off or something. But I also had this thought that...
You're scared of spiders, right?
Yeah. Terrified. And then, especially the way this one was moving, just didn't like it. It was way too erratic. I didn't know where it was going. So I stood up thinking, oh shit, what am I going to do? And then it kind of ran down and then started crawling into the vents of the MacBook. And I was like, that's fucking it. I'm done.
I think how he feels. He's basically got someone slapping on the ceiling of his house now. I didn't
look at my MacBook for 3 days.
You're like on the keyboard going... You must have thought, it's raining outside. I'll go get my washing in.
When I did come back round to doing it, I was like, I'd sit on this kitchen island here and I'd have the laptop kind of positioned there. And I'm just sort of like, just in case it ran out again. And I could just...
Is he still there?
I was also carrying like a little handgun just in case I needed to.
Tiny little handgun.
Yeah.
Can he still get on the web?
The worst part is...
It's a good joke, wasn't it?
My wife just found it hilarious. So, and she also just, I mean, she's one of these people that really like looks down on Apple as well. Like she hates people who buy Apple.
Snob.
Yeah. And she was basically just laughing at there's a design flaw in the sense that this MacBook, when you close it, the fans are on the back and they're open at the back. When you open it, the lip of the screen covers the vents, but then that means the vents are just in front of your screen.
I'll be honest with you, you're losing me.
But essentially, it means that if a spider was to run in or run out of your Mac or your laptop, the design of this specific MacBook makes it so that if the spider leaves, it has to leave in front of the screen, so you have to look at it as it happens.
Walk of shame.
Yeah. So
what an eviction.
It's kind of like that. But anyway, that's my spider story and why we very nearly didn't have a video going out that one week.
I'll be honest with you, it tailed off towards the end, but good enough. Okay, what are we talking about now?
I mean, we should do the beer name now.
Oh yeah, yeah. So this podcast is called the Fantasy Beer Name Podcast, and this podcast Fantasy Beer Name is...
Hang on, so we need to explain what it is first.
Okay.
Yeah, so the fancy beer name element of this podcast is when we go to our list of beer names. These are fictional beer names that me and Paul have come up with. Because as you can see or hear, when we're talking, we're very very funny, and we come up with some great little idioms.
So funny, we have to write it down sometimes.
Yeah. So just as proof, and because of this, we've got a long list of potential beer names. These aren't real beer names, but they should be.
They should be. Classics
we
like
figured that
Bonegg, like Billboard Foreigner.
Yeah. And we figured basically that this would be a good way to get those out there. Mm-hmm. Get these heard.
What we got today?
I'm going to go for YouTube Dude Face.
YouTube Dude Face. Now, this is a recent one.
Dude
Even
Face.
I remember this one.
Yeah.
Would you like to explain YouTube Dude Face?
YouTube Dude Face. I think it actually ties into the video that we did relatively recently, the core pale things.
Yes.
Core pale drink along that we did. And the thumbnail of that is us holding these
Hasn't
boards
been released yet, is it? That's coming out soon. Oh, it might be out by the time this is out.
Yeah.
Ah.
I'm in the future.
Yes, you are.
And you should be too.
No, I'm in the past, always.
Yeah, as of the time of recording, it's not out yet, but it will be out in 2 weeks. This is the thing about having a pipeline of content lined up now. We can do this.
Shove it in your pipeline.
Shove it up your pipeline. Pipeline Brewery.
Nice, yeah.
That'd be a good one.
Yeah.
Let's go and see them.
Oh, if this fits pipeline.
Not sure if it does, YouTube Dude Face.
Okay.
But anyway, yeah, the story behind YouTube Dude Face. We had that little photo taken of us, which is explicitly for the thumbnail with our boards.
The
and we're
classic
holding it up.
YouTube thumbnail.
Yes, so we're looking very surprised, or, we've got that kind of arrogant, smug, faux surprise.
Yeah, there's a couple of YouTube faces you have to pull on a thumbnail.
Obligatory.
You have to. It's like the law.
Yeah.
So you get surprise, which is essentially like, but not surprise, more like aghast.
It's like the cover of Home Alone.
Well, I would say that's stage 2. So the first stage is sex doll.
Sex doll.
Just mouth open and looking surprised or aghast. The second one is alarm and surprise, which is the Macaulay Culkin Home Alone.
Yeah.
Oh! You can't see this if you listen on the podcast, but I'm slapping my cheeks.
Yeah, he is.
On my face.
Not hard enough, but he is.
And the other one is when you put your hand to your chin in a ponderous pose and you look off into the distance.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one.
There is also one that I've spotted where it's like, it's the smugness, the smug assuredness of someone that you might see in a restaurant in Spain, and he's got a very attractive girlfriend and he knows it.
Okay.
But it's like that kind of smug assuredness, and you're like...
Yeah, it doesn't deserve it.
No, but he's usually there giving you tips, like the top 5 tips for, I don't know, how to get spiders out of your MacBook.
Getting mould from your bathroom surfaces.
Yeah.
I watched that today.
Did you?
The bloke didn't have a YouTube dude face, so it was really pleasant, and he just gave good advice. So, yeah.
I suppose, that's kind of the thing with thumbnails, really. It's that thing which works and people hate that it works, and that's the thing. It's just...
Johnny Garrett told us that on an email. He says the YouTube thumbnail with the faces of surprise, shock, ponderance always work. So yeah, we're too scared to test it. Doesn't, to be fair.
Yeah, I thought the one that we did recently, the Oktoberfest drink along thing, the one there where I teased the score. So like it had the British flag and the German flag, and then I took like the screen grab of where it was 2-0 to Britain. And then I pixelated the score so you couldn't see. So you're like, God damn it, I need to look and see, because I'm just naturally a curious person, and everyone on YouTube is a curious person. So
absolute tease.
And that's why it's such a good performing video for us.
Yeah. Koch tease. Koch.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. Yeah. I was trying to see if I could think of any like German. Yeah. No. Runderfumpf.
Yes.
Yeah. So YouTube Dude Face. That's where it is. The coin is termed. I thought it'd be a great name for a beer. Which brewery does it go to, and what style of beer is it?
We'll have a think.
We shouldn't have a think. What we should not do is leave it in the hope of coming back to it, because that's not going to happen.
For the thumbnail. Ponder.
Yeah, we could do that.
Okay. YouTube Dude Face. That feels... Oh, you know what?
Go on.
It's elusive.
Yeah.
And I don't know why. Again, I always say this.
Bit elusive.
It feels like a graphic elusive would have on their can. Do you know they've got that kind of almost like 8-bit style design sometimes?
Yeah,
It feels a little bit like that. But
yeah. I think also there's an element of sure shot to it.
we said Sure Shot before, though. We can't keep having Sure Shot.
But if our name's tying with Sure Shot, maybe they should hire us.
That's true.
Yeah, maybe keep us on the books.
Yeah. We want to go to Manchester again soon, don't we? Yeah.
We did actually message Sure Shot and they did reply, but they just thought we just wanted to speak to the designer.
Please leave us alone. We keep telling you we're not interested in your fucking beer names.
Yeah. No, that was Northern Monk. But
That's
yeah,
true,
also.
Okay. Yeah. No, know what?
YouTube Dude Face. So if you're going to say it's elusive, then is it an addition to their West Coast Pale Ale thing? But it wouldn't be because it's not West Coast themed.
Yeah.
Unless it's a West Coast guy who's doing the YouTube Dude Face.
It's Americana through and through, though, isn't it? Their Oregon trails and all that stuff. So, no. You know what? Let's go Sure Shot. You win.
And I'd say that it's going to be
Beat it out of me again.
a boring IPA 6.5%.
It's always 6.5% Sure Shot.
Yeah.
That's their standard IPA. Yeah, 6.5%.
It's kind of like Polly's do that, don't they? It seems like they just have this this base.
Just tweak a few things.
Or beer and then just
let's hop, yeah.
tweak up that one. Little bit of Galaxy. Bang.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, so that's kind of covered that.
That's the important stuff.
Put that in the fucking bin. Let's move on to the next thing. What have we got?
That's a good question. I don't know.
I don't know. What I did want to do this episode is I wanted to do like a bumper edition of the Doom Bar.
Oh, yes.
Because I think we do have a good story that kind of ties into the Doom Bar, which kind of relates to yourself.
Yes.
And to those people. Should we just fucking do the Doom Bar now? We're kind of teeing. No, we need a bigger beer for that.
We need a bigger beer for Doom Bar.
We're going to need a bigger beer.
And also, round about the halfway mark of every good podcast that we do, we tend to have a advert break.
Real ad break. So, this week, instead of doing our fantasy ad break, because I don't know about you, Paul, but I didn't write one.
No, nor me. The well is spent.
Yeah, so instead, we've actually got something a bit real to pimp. So, we're going to do that instead. So we've knocked together a little something, which we're going to hear from now.
And now, time for a word from Planet Beer TV's fantasy sponsor.
Hey Paul, can I ask you a question?
Sure can, good buddy.
Do you like beer merch?
Do I?
Do you like cynical rip-offs of pop culture iconography?
Sure do. Do you like supporting your favourite content creators?
Pretty sure I was asking the questions there,
Well,
Paul.
I've got just the thing for you, Chris, because Planet Beer TV are about to launch our own range of beer merch.
What are you doing?
This includes t-shirts with witty designs such as Stouts and Things.
That's my design.
Fantastic Pour, Down with Macro,
You
A
completely
Beer
ruined
Road, and many, many more. Coming soon to a social media site near you.
Totally stole my lines there.
Deal with it.
Welcome to part 2.
Part 2.
Well, that was quite an advert.
Wasn't it? Made that up on the spot.
We did, yeah. No, that's all very exciting. I mean, obviously, for those who are watching this on YouTube, you can see that we're currently sporting
Some
a couple of the
prototypes.
designs. Yeah. The way we're doing these, I suppose we just give a quick talk about that before we move on.
Yeah.
Is we're using a tea mill because I had a few people ask me about this. So this is something that you did when you were at Hull, I think, wasn't it? When you had your beer shop.
T-Mill are an online t-shirt printing service that do one-offs of designs, so you don't have to buy a ton of stuff in bulk. Which is always a problem
for us.
Which is great because we've got no money. But yeah, you basically order online and it comes within 2 to 3 days typically.
And also it does allow for more customization on the designs as well.
Yeah, it does all that stuff. So we've got, I think, something like 7 or 8 designs at the moment. Those do include the Planet Beer TV logo variations as well. Multiple different colours, and they come in all different sizes, which is a treat.
All shapes and sizes,
from small to XXL,
which is
actually no XXXL.
Well, that's good. That gives me a couple of couple of
So
brackets to move
if you're really
through.
into your beer,
No, it's pretty cool though, and obviously the way we'll work in that is obviously because we're not spending any money to get these things made and then selling them on to you, which that'd be a bigger margin of profit for us. But this works just fine because essentially we'll just take a cut of whatever it is that Team will sell.
it's not much.
It's not much, but it's something, and it's a way that, especially if you like your very what's the word, twee beer design,
twee beer merch. Yeah,
if you like that, then it's,
so look forward to officially launching that, and we'll do a little feature on it. And
no doubt.
we'll no doubt go to town on that bad boy. But it's coming, and we're looking forward to it.
Cool.
Excited.
What are we drinking at present?
We are drinking another Umbard, being the corporate chills that we are, and we're drinking a pineapple and pepper crumble, which is a 5.5 Berliner Weiss, and it's banging.
I'm seeing a lot of Berliner Weisses going on, even though it's like well into October now, which isn't normally the time to go, but I also think the weather's thrown people. It's like...
They have October in Berlin, so...
That's what I heard.
Yeah. I've always said that, though.
See, you wouldn't know it, though, because they do their Oktoberfest in September. I thought the reason why they did it in September is because they don't have October there.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Madness.
It was their, like, replacement for it.
Yeah. When I was young, I used to think that Christmas was in August in Australia, because they have the summer.
Okay.
Well, they have their Christmas and it's summer, so it's their summer weather.
So you thought that they would move there...
So yeah, I thought their Christmas was in August to match up with our summer.
Because they couldn't do it without snow.
I mean, I'll be honest with you, I was a fucking idiot. I used to think Torquay was in Spain as well.
Torquay, yeah, it's not.
32 when I found out it wasn't. Most expensive flight ever. So yeah, that's a cracker, and I've just gone to log it on Untapped, and at the time no one's logged it, so I think it's a new release from Umbard.
It's really good. The pepper's kind of giving a bit of a savoury bit of a kick to it, which
nice.
is
Got a nice bit of creaminess to it as well. That's lovely. Yeah,
good job.
Good job, Umbard.
Good job on Bard and Permit Room.
Oh yeah, Permit Room. Obviously, it's a
collab thing. Yeah,
who's Permit Room?
love all them pineapples on the design. Not that anyone can see this if they're listening.
I thought you said Pelmet Room for a minute.
Brewed with our friends at Permit Room, a brand new Brighton-based offering from the team behind Dishoom.
Oh, Dishoom, yeah. They're an Indian restaurant.
Oh, okay. That's my cat. Why is it that every single podcast episode gets crashed by animals?
Yep. It's all right. It's the highest viewed part of the video, I think.
Yeah.
Cat's walked in.
Cat's walked in, bang, peek in the video. Cat leaves. Everyone else turns off.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, so I thought for this bit, this part 2, we could have a real bumper episode, because we haven't done it in a while. Bumper episode of the Misery Corner.
Yeah.
/ the Doom Bar.
As has now been rebranded as the Doom Bar, because the fact we didn't think of that originally has just really annoyed me. So yeah, thank you for whoever came up with that.
It was Steve.
It was Steve, wasn't it? Yeah.
So I think we're going to have to call it. The feature is currently sponsored by him. Steve Powers, the Doom Bar.
You're a legend, Steve.
That's his little jingle that he has to start. So yeah, for the astute kind of viewer, or the people that have been following us through our original kind of incarnation of Planet Beer TV earlier this year, you would have noticed that on our little sponsor board we had Bruiser, and then before Mosaic came along, there was Hall Beer Shop, which is your beer shop.
Was my beer shop.
Was your beer shop. Obviously that's now gone. That's not a thing. But I thought that it would make a really cool, because we haven't really properly, I mean, we've talked about it in the pub and stuff to a degree, but I didn't want you to keep crying. So I thought I'd give you a bit of time.
Yeah, I'm over it now.
It
still hurts.
It's been a couple of months.
Yeah.
And I think it would be quite cool, because if nothing else, it's a nice little insight into opening, because you when did you start Hall 1?
Oh God, don't even ask me that. I think it was
2021.
It was 2021, and it was I think it was the end of September, beginning of October.
Yeah, but it's a nice little insight into being a small business owner in the industry of beer, bottle shop / tap room, and kind of, I suppose, the challenges that we're all facing.
Yep.
So I thought this would be a good one to have here.
Yeah, it's a cautionary tale, to be sure.
I think everyone always thinks, I know I do, and I know I did throughout all of lockdown, and when you got your place, I was jealous, and Mark from Hot Vault opened one, I was like, oh my God, I'm missing out here. I really should have one of my own. I'm not sure how having 3 bottle shops in Stourbridge would have helped
in a small black country town.
But I think the reality usually is a lot more leveling than the kind of fantasy of it. It's like a threesome. It's a lot sexier in your mind, but then when you actually come to do it, you're like, gonna have to touch a dick.
Yeah, that's a bad threesome, isn't it? That's what they call them.
Depends, I guess.
It just depends on your flavour, I guess.
Neapolitan.
So, Hall. As you said, me and my wife Hannah started Hall, and we thought about it for about 2 years before we did it, like most people do. It felt like a bit of a pipe dream. And then we said, after a visit to Cottage Wine, which is, if anyone knows Cottage Wine and lives in Birmingham, you will know it. And it's in a suburb of Brum, and it was pretty much the only place you could go and buy a big selection of craft beer unless you went online. So we'd travel all the way to Cottage, which is a good 40-minute drive away, fill up the car and go, oh God, someone needs to do this in our town.
That used to be where I used to go for my Belgian beers.
It's where most
Christmas.
people go, really. There's plenty of places now, but there wasn't back then. So we said, sod it. Let's see if we can get a business loan and just do it. And at that time, I think my wife was having a bit of an existential crisis about her job, and she was a bit bored and stagnating. So we went for it, and we decided to open in the middle of a pandemic. COVID, heard of that? That was a thing, wasn't it? So that
I know what you're talking about.
That was happening, and that kind of stalled our plans somewhat. But then we thought, hang on a minute, this could work to our advantage. People need beer at home, so let's open up an off license, which sold just beer and cider. So we went through with that, and we got this little shop unit down on Lower High Street in Stourbridge, and it was a proper doer-upper. We got a very good deal on it for reasons which became apparent much later on, to be honest. And we moved in and started renovating the shop, and about 6 weeks into the renovation, it was all looking good. The floor collapsed. Literally bowed and caved in. So we had to essentially bully the landlord into putting a new flooring in and new foundations, and it was a big job, which set us back about 8 weeks all in. During that 8 weeks, we found out there was another shop that was also about to open, which came out of nowhere, and that became the Hot Vault. So we were in a bit of a bind already, and sort of emotionally kind of hit us in the nuts, really, because suddenly the dream of being, hey, Stourbridge's first,
the go-to place,
first bottle shop, the only bottle shop in the area, was kind of scuppered because someone else was going to do exactly the same thing. And I've known Mark since, and we've had lots of discussions about it. Mark from the Hot Vault, and he felt exactly the same way.
Yeah,
and his wife was also called Hannah, which added all kinds of confusion. We ended up opening a business together by mistake, and it was so weird. And then I went home with Hannah one day, and I went, "Hey, you're like my wife. I don't even live here." It was so weird. Anyway, so
I was kind of. I always thought there's no reason why you guys can't coexist. You were kind of down the road from each other. Really, you were on Lower High Street. They're on Market Street, which is very much more central, but. I remember thinking, I don't see why you guys can't coexist, but obviously there's a kind of reality to selling stuff like cans. It's a zero-sum game, and people only have a limited amount of money which they can spend on cans of beer, and obviously any beer that I'm buying from I wasn't giving that money to
You
Hop.
got it,
So
yeah.
it's
So it became a bit of an existential crisis, really, for both parties. But and also, there's only so much beer you can buy from so many places. You know, there's only X amount of wholesalers.
yeah.
Buying direct from breweries wasn't as easy even a few years ago as it is now. If you wanted to do different stuff, i.e. imported beer from different countries, that comes at a premium. So even if you're trying to differentiate yourselves between other shops, the crossover is massive, right? So you're always going to be selling the stuff. And also you want to sell the stuff that sells,
Yeah.
you know, with the biggest profit margin on it. So
Well, that was it. I think you kind of manoeuvred into a space because knowing that, I suppose, Hop Vault had space
yeah.
and they were able to stock more stuff. I think you tried to move into niches to kind of maneuver around that.
Yeah.
To kind of go for beers that perhaps they weren't stocking or whatever. But then I suppose that was, you were just appealing to a niche then.
It was a niche in a very small town, so the market wasn't really there. So,
but what would you say the successes were? Because I mean, surely you had some success in the early days, otherwise it wouldn't have gone on for the some years that it did.
Well, don't forget, when we opened, we had no idea what was happening with COVID and how long that was going to last. So the idea of having essentially a beer specialist off license was very attractive. The second lockdown ended and people started getting back into their everyday lives, people started going to the pubs, and then that kind of off license business model kind of dropped through the floor pretty much. Off license only business model. So of course we had to become a bar. And that was always going to be the plan anyway, become a tap room. So that kind of stops the competition element to a degree because everyone wants more bars. So more bars in a place typically is going to benefit. And I think if I remember correctly, we opened our tap room before Hop Vault did. So that gave us a bit of a leg up on that side of things. So we suddenly had a busy bar in Stourbridge, which was great. And then Hop Vault came along a few weeks after, I think, and opened theirs. And then suddenly the competition was fierce, but we were sharing customers. More people seemed to be coming into town at that point as well. So that's when the kind of cold war between the two businesses kind of softened a little bit. And it was actually, you know what, this is good. And then there was a couple of other businesses that were around at the time who were starting to bring people in. Like there's a little restaurant bar called the Stour, which was spectacular. That didn't last long, unfortunately, but for a minute, Stourbridge was a good place to be again, and it hadn't been good since 1993.
Yeah,
so that was good.
When Robert Plant moved out,
and the wonder stuff we're playing at the Mitre. So
I think what was quite cool was, for me, was seeing how you operated in a space that was blurring the lines during the COVID phase, because obviously pubs had to close. Mm-hmm. But that, and other than off licenses, which could stay open, that's where people were getting the beer from. Mm. But you guys were able to kind of flex the rules a little bit, because although you were kind of like a bar, you couldn't necessarily drink in there, but you were more of a bar vibe. Yeah. And you had that kind of element where you were actually able to stay open and operate while pubs and kind of almost comparable things were unable to do that.
Yeah, and when lockdown softened, we were able to sell cans on site, which meant people could drink in.
That was it, yeah.
And that became a thing, and that was the precursor to the bar, and then we got the tap room installed, which was great. The problem we had, the pineapple and pepper crumbles, repeating somewhat.
Peppering through.
The problem we had is our location was in a weird place, so it was literally as far down on the high street as you could go before it hit residential areas. We wanted to extend our hours because when we opened, we were under a little bit of pressure from the council to not become a big raving bar with thousands of people flooding in and out, which was ridiculous if you've seen the size of our place. I know that couldn't happen, but it was right next to a residential area, so we were quite restricted. We fought that so we could open later and open on weekends, and that was poo-pooed by the council. It was actually poo-pooed by one particular resident who was a perpetual thorn in my side. Won't mention him. He's moved now, by the way.
Classic.
Yeah, so...
Because you left.
Yeah, had nothing to moan about.
His nemesis had gone.
But yeah, people who didn't understand what we were trying to do by having a nice little cafe bar vibe. Anyway, so we couldn't really open too much or too long, and we couldn't open on bank holidays, and we couldn't open on Sundays, and we had to be closed at 10. We started losing out on a lot of custom, and Hop Vault and other bars could obviously open a lot later at the time. So it just became apparent that it was an uphill slog for us. And when things started getting more expensive, things started going through the roof in terms of prices, we just lost the enthusiasm for it, I think.
You closed, I want to say April 2022?
Yeah, it's about right, yeah.
So obviously that would have been the time the war all kicked off in February.
Yeah.
So that's when all the rates and everything, like cost of energy and stuff, absolutely skyrocketed.
Yeah, things started going mental. Yeah.
So there was obviously that element. At what point, tell us about that moment where you were like, okay, shit, this is it. We've got to...
So there's, as far as I'm concerned, unless you're very, very lucky, there's only 3 times you make money in this business. Unless you're very lucky to have regular customers and you're in the right place. You make money when you open. You make money at Christmas, and you make money when you close.
Yeah,
for good. All those in between times are quite painful. So you could come in on a Friday and a Saturday and be absolutely buzzing. Most Saturdays were buzzing all day, to be honest with you. Which looks great to people, very exciting. And I think a lot of people, when they go into a bar or a tap room, they go, "Oh, it's great in here. Look, all the people. I'd love to own this place. I'd love to do something like this." But what they don't see is the Tuesday and the Wednesday and the Thursdays.
Nobody sees the 2 o'clock in the afternoon on a Tuesday or Wednesday.
Literally just, scratching your own arse.
And you're wondering, how the fuck am I going to pay the bill this year?
Yeah, and then, it's not a cheap thing to do. When you have to keep ahead of trends as well, and you have to keep the fridges stocked with all the new stuff, and it's weekly. You're spending thousands upon thousands of pounds a week on new stock. You have to have a massive turnover. So if that dries up for even a minute in the week, then you're on the back foot immediately. So we've just felt we're constantly on the back foot, to be honest with you. And we always said, if we didn't look like we were going to make money within a couple of years, then we'd see what else we could do with it. The world seemed to have changed massively in that time. So it was like, you know what? We had that difficult conversation saying, is your heart in this enough to carry on? And Hannah said, loves the bar, but yeah, she's just sick of the stress of keeping a bar running. So yeah, it was a lot of money, and then our rent was going to go up, and business rates were changing, and all these little factors just sort of pushed us in a different direction. So, and
this was at a point essentially. So Hall was 2 chapters.
Yes.
So this would bring us to the close of Hall 1.
Yep.
As you call it, and at that point you kind of spotted your opening, and you kind of had a bit of a tactical arrangement, I suppose, to kind of move from Stourbridge Town Centre to Birmingham City Centre.
Yep.
And this is where I'm going to pull out Unbarred's King Conka Coconut and Tonka Bean Imperial Stout 10%, because
oh my god,
this is where we're going.
We're going big.
We're going. Oh my god, the smell.
What do you think about Tonka?
I'm a fan of it, to be honest.
I like a bit of Tonka.
I know that it divides the room, doesn't it? Not this room. This room seems we're okay with Tonka. But if you still had a bit of your pineapple in there.
Oh,
it tastes like. So you've got.
Let's see how that tastes.
Tonka Bean Imperial Stout with pineapple and pepper.
God, that smells mental.
I like the sweetness of it.
I do like the smell of Tonka. Always feels like it's going to be a bit more cloying and overly sweet for me, because I haven't got much of a sweet tooth, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I do enjoy the taste of it. So
I suppose it's more that nutty kind of.
So it's like was going to say parmesan there. Marzipan.
Yeah, which is interesting because I don't like marzipan.
Really?
My wife's eating a lot of Stollen cake at the moment because it's coming into that time of the year, isn't it? Christmas, and Aldi have just started stocking Stollen cake, and I can't
You're
stand
not
it.
sponsored by any German budget supermarket.
Nope. Although you would like to put in a good word for their Rheinbacher lager or whatever it is.
Oh man, best beer you can get for the money.
Anyway. So yeah, we'll just Steve Powers, the Doom Bar,
You're a legend, Steve.
resumes, and you've closed in April 2022. Let's say April,
Yeah, I can't
whatever
remember.
it was. At what point did you then kind of move into Birmingham, and what was your reasoning and thoughts behind it?
So I have a love-hate relationship with Birmingham city centre. Sort of came up in Birmingham, really. Knocked around there for years and years and years as a teenager in my 20s. And yeah, I love the place, but my God, it's backwards when it comes to certain things, and beer is one of them. What Birmingham city centre hasn't got, bizarrely, is a bottle shop. A craft beer bottle shop, which blew our mind, really. As I said, Cotteridge, which is what sort of 6-7 miles outside of the city centre is
Yeah, you got
the best
Cotteridge and
place to go.
Sturch,
And Sturch
yeah.
up the road from it as well. But they're all in the suburbs. There are other places dotted around now, but when we opened, there wasn't. So we got.
Although there was Dig Brew's Commonwealth pop-up.
That was weird though, wasn't it?
yeah.
I mean, they was just selling their own stuff, and it was a very limited supply of stuff, and
It was odd.
It was a strange little time that was. But we got a little unit in a place called Great Western Arcade, which is directly opposite Snow Hill Station. So prime location. We managed to blag really good rent, and it felt like that couldn't fail because it was literally on a thoroughfare for the busiest pedestrian area in Birmingham, pretty much outside of New Street Station. So we colour us surprised when it wasn't that busy at all. Again, it was, I think, from a bottle shop perspective, it was better than our Stourbridge place, but in no way, shape or form did it have any kind of vibe that our Stourbridge place had, because it wasn't a bar and it didn't have any drinking functionality. It was a little shop. Again, it was a bit of an experiment. We said, look, we've got 6 months good rent here. We'll just see if it works. We didn't have to buy any new equipment. We had everything from our old shop, so we could just move everything straight in. In fact, if anything, we downsized quite heavily. So we were in a good place to try it. But I was disappointed to find the reality of the Birmingham beer scene is not great in terms of regular custom, which was a shock to us, really.
Yeah, I think for me, there was two things at play. I think, obviously, if I was starting something like this now, I think you don't succeed if you don't have that tap room element to it now.
Yeah.
I think you need that.
Yeah.
I think there's too many kind of bottle shops out there now, and especially in kind of prime locations and places, you need to be selling a lot. You need to be selling like warehouses worth of stuff.
Yeah.
If you're going to be staying open as just a purveyor of ales and bottles and stuff.
But the footfall through Great Western Arcade, sorry, I'm moving away from the mic a bit. The footfall through Great Western Arcade was somewhere in the region of 40,000 people a day. I mean, just on those numbers alone.
But this is the second thing at play, I think, which I was going to come to, and I think this time, if you'd done this in 2019, obviously pandemic aside, you succeed.
Yeah,
because
that was our conclusion.
Everyone's in the office.
Yeah,
you're in prime, you're in the kind of the yuppie district of Birmingham.
Exactly, yes, the financial district of Birmingham.
So,
yeah.
And you're on the way to the train. People can pick up train beers on the weekend or, in the week, just get their stuff for the, whatever. I think at a time when everyone is working in the office and stuff, that works. But the new reality, the new normal that kind of came out of COVID, where I just don't think people go back to the office as much.
No, and
the cities aren't
really
as busy
important.
anymore.
And I'm not going to try and find excuses for it, but the reality was there was always something. Almost like there was almost some conspiracy to stop businesses succeeding. So when we first opened that shop, the first couple of weeks were amazing. In fact, the first 3 or 4 weeks were amazing. It wasn't, and we didn't advertise either. We just opened just to see what the footfall was going to be like, and it was great. And then, things started happening. So train strikes was one, which was, you wouldn't think would have much of an effect, but it did.
Yeah.
And in fact, a lot of businesses in that area, were just sort of standing around outside their shops going, where the hell is everyone? This is ridiculous. Yeah. There are other forms of transport. And then there was various issues around the city centre. There was, as you say, people not returning back to the office. And then the cost of living crisis started rearing its ugly head.
Yeah.
And, we saw a massive downfall in people spending. Yes, and there was mass sort of redundancy and things starting to happen. You could feel it. It's almost like the thriving area that I knew that place in Birmingham to be just sort of thinned.
You're essentially in the Truman Show at that point, and everything like just they're working against you. But it wasn't all bad though, because
no, it was good.
I think I remember catching up with you.
I'm painting a very negative picture here, but I'm just trying to paint the reality of what brought us to the end of it. Really,
correct me if I'm wrong, but one of the things that always sticks out to me when I think back to the conversations that we had about it when it was going well at Hall 2, you said, I think it was around November or December time, it's the first time Hannah had actually been able to take a wage.
Yeah, exactly.
He'd earned enough money to actually actually you can get paid this.
So Hannah was a manager. So caveat, I didn't work there full time. I just did shifts at the weekend, and I was just basically a general dog's body. But I had a proper job, thank God. They paid the mortgage. But Hannah worked there full time, and when we moved to the little shop, she was the only person who worked there, so we had no other staff on. And we kept it lightweight for that very reason. And for the first couple of months, it was rosy. But then it just changed overnight again, and then things started becoming a struggle. And then suddenly we're behind on a few invoices, or we're struggling to keep our head above water in terms of keeping things paid. And then we just turned around and just to each other and said, we can't be bothered. We literally can't be bothered with the stress. Can't see any kind of uptick of this happening soon. We got a little bit annoyed with Birmingham as a venue, or the area we're in as a venue. It just seems to be hemorrhaging.
You had a couple
visitors.
You had a couple of closures in that thing as well, didn't you?
Because, for instance,
like the Pineapple Club.
Like businesses who were thriving up until that point suddenly just couldn't exist anymore, and suddenly the Great Western Arcade, which is a really cool little place, just started having empty units popping up. So it was a bit of a sign of things to come, really. So
how did you find having obviously we're Stourbridge, so we're very aware of Dave Craddock's brewery.
Oh yes.
Obviously he's got the good intent in that Great Western Arcade,
that's right,
which whenever I go there, and it's not that often because I don't tend to walk into arcades, especially ones that I can't really get through, whatever. It's always busy in there.
Yeah, busy at lunch.
Yeah.
Busy after work. I'll take that back. Semi-busy in the week at lunch, semi-busy after work, very busy at the weekend. But again, it's those half days in between all those times.
Yeah. Did you get any kind of... what would the word be, I suppose, like cross-pollination, I suppose, from that? Yeah.
In fact, Dave Craddock was actually really nice, quite helpful. But the cross-pollination of customers. They're a traditional cask pub, so we weren't treading on each other's toes at all. Well, so that was good. But we had people coming in all the time. But I don't know, man. I just look at it bamboozled at how unbusy it was for a large portion of the time we were open there.
It seemed like, because I remember like that conversation where you said Hannah had taken a wage, that was about November, or it was early November time, I think, because you were saying that was when we were arranging Verdant. So that was end of November last year. So pretty much like more or less a year on from now. And it seemed when you said, I think you said Christmas was great. But then I think it just seems like after the Christmas break into the new year, just nothing came back.
Yeah, it's weird. Ghost town's a massive exaggeration. But yeah, the whole area, as I said, just seems to... It didn't go back to what it was.
Yeah.
After that Christmas, and I can't really put my finger on why.
I think a lot of it has got to be down to the fact that this is a luxury.
It's a luxury.
It's like a thing that if you've only got so much money, and at that time in midwinter, when your energy bills have just gone.
Yeah, and that's it. And it's just multiple things happening. But the decline was huge. I mean, it was almost comical. But, you know, as you say, it's a luxury. And at the end of the day, we gave it a decent run. But, you know, it's not the end of the world.
No, so...
It doesn't really matter.
You kind of closed it around May.
Around that, I can't remember when we decided we were going to close. We had to give a bit of notice, obviously.
In May or June, because I think we were going up to Northern Monk, and you were mentioned in the car. I think that was around May time, wasn't it? So I think you did mention then that things weren't ideal.
It feels like a lifetime ago. To be
it's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
But I mean, I suppose there are kind of perks to it now, like the fact that you don't have to contend with the struggles.
I'm so much happy on the other side of the bar.
Yeah, because I mean, this is the other thing, and this is obviously between you and Mark and Hannah at Hot Vault. There's two things in common there outside of Hannah, and it's that both you and Mark have, you know,
beards,
big jobs. You've got jobs. You've got yourself a real job. You know, you wouldn't be able to do that.
Yeah.
If you were using that as your sole income, you just wouldn't be able to.
That helped make the decision to do it in the first place. I'd changed career. Well, not career. I'd changed job recently. I'd become a contractor for a software development contractor. So that financed everything. So yeah, we wouldn't have done it without that.
No, and I think that's the reality. I suppose if you were to give advice to someone that was thinking about doing this, I suppose one of the realities you'd have to say to them is you need to at least either be rich.
My first. Well, I financed a lot of it, but we also had to get a business loan out. So we got a British business banking loan out. Who were really, really good.
Do you reckon we could get one out for Planet Beer TV?
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think they'll give me another one anyway. Is
this why you changed your name? Paul didn't change his name.
Don't mention it. I did change my email, and they caught up with me in the end. I was going to say, so the advice I would give, if you want to do anything like this, and it's not just this, it's any business, work out how much money you think you need to do it, then double it, and then put another 50%.
Real contingency.
And then make sure you've got a contingency. That's not even the contingency. You will hemorrhage money in ways you would never consider. We were on the back foot a little bit because we had to do quite a lot of work to our original shop. So we put a lot of money into making that a good looking place because it was an absolute shit tip.
your classic tip. Your classic chipboard. What's that? What's that called? OBF. ODB.
OSB.
ODB. OSB board. You know the obligatory.
Why is there always a Wu-Tang sort of connection? We got
they're our spirit animal.
I bought 13 Chambers.
Oh, okay.
On Saturday for National Album Day. Yeah, on vinyl. Fuck yeah.
I bought on cassette.
Anyway, so we did the place up, and a lot of our money went into decorating and making a nice, comfortable environment. But yeah, you can plan it to the best of your ability, but trust me when I say you will be going, how did I miss this? Yeah. No matter how well you think you've planned it, and it will inevitably cost you a lot more money than you think. So
it kind of sounds like me, but just in life.
But it's the stock as well. So you got to think. People go, oh, okay, I'm gonna stock up at this shop. I'm gonna have X amount of beer in the fridges, and the fridges themselves and the shelves are going to be populated with all kinds of cool barrel aged things and gozers and imperial stouts, and we have 3-4 fridges full of IPAs and sours and things, which is great. So you spend £5,000, £6,000 on stock to open up, and then the next week you've got to populate that with another few £1,000s worth of stock because you've had a busy week. Chances are you haven't made that money yet.
Yeah.
And then unless you have a good run then over the next few months, you're always going to be on the back foot.
That's cash flow, essentially.
Cash flow becomes... So that's when I said contingency money, or if it's not contingency, actually, it's the money you think you need, double it, because that cash flow can't be disrupted for a second if you plan it to the pound. You really need to give yourself a massive buffer.
Yeah.
Because as soon as that goes out the window, you're 5-6 invoices suddenly behind, and then you really struggle to catch back up, and then you're praying for Christmas, and then you make all your money back at Christmas, and you think, oh, this is good, and then nothing happens for another 3 months.
And then you're praying for like another dead nan or something.
Yeah, I've had 6 now, which is weird.
6 dead nans.
I don't want to be a doom merchant about it, and it was great and it was fun. And I was saying, what are the positives? The conversations I have with Hannah, it's this is going to sound really fucking cheesy, but hey, maybe it was the friends we made along the way.
Yeah,
and honestly, yourself obviously included in that. We met so many people through that shop and that bar. People we're close friends with now. Obviously, it wasn't worth all the money we put into it. You're not that good.
Yeah.
No.
I
don't like them that much, and I wish I hadn't done it, obviously. But I suppose if I had to scrape a barrel to find a positive,
my friendship has a price, and you've probably paid well over the odds on that. So,
I mean, it's quite cheap.
That's cheap, yeah.
But that's the little Doom Bar version of it.
Steve Powers, the Doom Bar.
Steve Powers, you're a legend, Steve. The Doom Bar. But would I do it all again? Fuck no.
People always ask me, would I do it again? Absolutely fucking no.
What's his name from Ted Lasso? Roy. Fuck no.
Yeah.
So don't want to dissuade people from trying it, but for fuck's sakes, make sure you're in the right place. You haven't got direct competition, and you have enough money not to keep you in perpetual misery when you can't pay the bills. Because
there's a lot of things which people can't, as you saw with the fact that Hot Vault popped up with the pandemic and everything. There's a lot of just variables that it's just bad luck. Yeah. There's like a lot of stuff you just can't even account for. It's like playing Monopoly, isn't it? You just get that fucking card. Like, oh, I've got to pay everyone 20 quid. Don't want to do it.
You know what I would do though? If I had the money to do it, and I would have to win the lottery for this to happen, or another dead nan would have to carp and leave it. Yeah,
nan number 7.
Oh, she wants to go. She doesn't want to appear. If anything, I want to really far away.
Shuffle your mortal coil.
Yeah. So
Nana.
I would, for the right place, in the right environment, I'd love to get a traditional ale boozer, and keep the traditional aspect of it while making it more modern craft friendly. Like
the places in Sheffield
and Manchester, Leeds, thinking places like the Shakespeare and the Rutland, and I'd love to do that, but I'd need the money, and I wouldn't want to work there. And I need a manager, and I need all the staff, and basically I just want a pub I can go and sit in with my mates. And say I own this. Have a free pint.
We really need this thing to take off then if we're going to do something like that.
Oh yeah, maybe we could get one together.
Maybe. But the lads that like the Calendar Crawl boys, they keep saying every time we go to a tap room, they're like, we should do something like this.
Is that your strip troupe, the Calendar Crawl boys?
The calendar boys. Makes us sound like a sexy hunks. But yeah, no, it's that. I mean, that's another thing. That's so even taproom aside, having something where you've got like a little brew pub sort of thing going on. The reality of that's even more kind of stark, because you don't just need someone that's going to be there to pour beers and all that sort of stuff. You need someone to make them.
Yeah,
and I don't know how to make a beer.
And I think the way it needs to go with a lot of these places is that kind of American approach to having a venue,
destination venue,
a destination venue. So you've got street food, you've got DJs, bands, whatever. It needs to be something you can go take the family if you need to. I mean, I'm dead against that. Obviously, don't take your kids to tap rooms. Not when I'm there anyway. But so you can go take your family and just spend a good few hours there and eat, drink, and be merry, and have entertainment outside of just nailing strong beers. I think so. I think that's the way it's going to go, and a lot of the places I've been to recently kind of tick those boxes, and they're rammed. I went to Wiper and True in Bristol not so long back. I messaged you about it. That their new venue is just like jaw-droppingly cool. I mean, they must have spent millions on this place, but it was only like 12 o'clock, 12:30 when we got there, and it's already starting to fill up. And there was a DJ setting up over there, and then they had a big marquee. They're going to show the rugby out the front. They were clearly going to have some bands going on later, and some kind of mini festival going on. They had pizzas, and they had some kind of Korean street food van set up, and they were gearing up for a full-on, almost like mini festival. They'll smash it, I think. I hope. Yeah,
we'll have to go and pay them a visit.
Yeah, and places like that will do it, like Green Duck locally. But I think that's the way it's going to go. But of course, that's not a cheap setup either.
No, and it's obviously a bit different as well in the UK, in the sense that in America you've got that because the place is so vast.
You've got to travel.
People have to travel out to those places, and it's not like a pub crawl. No. They don't really do that unless you're in the cities and stuff. So you literally just sort of like, this is where we are, kids. I've bought my kids.
What did I tell you?
And it's a good job you've got 60 taps, because I'm here all day.
Because I'm here for 3 hours.
Yeah. Whereas, like, obviously here, it's like Bristol, for instance, Wiper and True.
Yeah.
They're on the doorstep of Left-Handed Giant, Lost and Grounded, all the others as well, more. So, there's plenty of places to go. So we don't necessarily need to deal, or you don't necessarily need to outfit yourself to be a proper destination place, but if you can be, I suppose, all the better for it.
Let's see what happens.
But that was nice.
Was it?
Was that cathartic?
I think it was. Yeah. Thanks for that.
Yeah,
like a priest and a therapist, all rolled into one.
Yeah,
less of the priest though.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know. Thinking about, could I? I mean, my name's Christian, but could I be a religious man? No,
I doubt it.
If anything, my name's very ironic.
Ironically Christian. That could be your nickname.
It's all there when I was born. I think my parents just thought, this is a joke. Well, do you know what it is actually? My dad's called Ian. So work that one out. That's my mum's first words. Christ, Ian.
Oh, I see.
Look at the state of that.
Those are your mum's first words?
Obviously, she'd spoken before. I think what you mean is she said her first words upon seeing her new child.
It was your mum's first words?
When she saw me. Once I was shat forth from her vag.
This is not making it in.
Yeah.
Queefed out.
Let's be honest, it's probably going in. Yeah. I don't think I've ever cut anything really from the podcast.
No. I'm just going to say queef again.
No holds barred.
I rarely get to say that.
Yeah, get it in, I guess. Well, that was nice. So yeah, let's wrap this one up, because we've got to be pushing it.
Oh god, that was a long second half.
I think we've got a good balance though. We've got serious beer chat, which we could be accused of not doing much of sometimes, but hey, how about this?
That's nice, eh?
And King Conka's lovely. Unbarred, look out for that video very soon. Thank you very much for listening to us on this one, guys, or watching us, or whatever you're doing. Obviously, you can find us on all the major platforms, listen to us on Spotify. I always forget them.
MTV.
MTV2. VH1.
Discovery Channel.
VH1 for our hair. Yep, so...
People know where to get podcasts. They're not idiots.
Especially if they listen to us now, they should know.
Yeah.
I don't know why people still do that. Why do they do that, Luke? No one really knows. It's like and subscribe, I suppose, in YouTube terms, which we just don't do.
Yeah,
I think we started doing it, and then I was like, you know what, I really fucking hate it.
Yeah, stop it.
So just, if you like it, like it.
I'm not going to like it.
If you want to listen to this again, replay it.
I only subscribe to DIY channels now that tell you how to get mould off grouting.
That's it. And I only watch videos that have got YouTube dude face. And we've finally come full circle. Thanks for listening, guys. Catch you on the next one.
Bye-bye.
The Fantasy Beer Name podcast is brought to you by Planet Beer TV. This episode was recorded by Luke Bartlett with mix and sound design by Jake Healy. Thanks once again to our wonderful sponsors, Mosaic Board Printers.